Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we're going to do a little NFL draft review, talk about, quite a bit of the players, pretty much all the position players we think might be some kind of relevant, running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks. We'll talk a little bit about them, but not going to make as much of a fantasy impact, and maybe a little bit of the tight end, see if there's a player or two that has a situation where you can do something. But before we get into that, make sure you guys go check us out on Twitter at the FF Prophet. Go follow us on Instagram at fantasyfootballprophet, or the website's fantasyfootballprophet.com. Make sure you guys keep following us on Instagram. We're going to have some more information coming out really soon on our listener leagues we're going to have going for this year. If you go check it out now, you actually get to see a little mock-up of the championship belt we're actually going to be giving to the winner of the overall leagues this year, which is provided by Pro-Am Belts. We'll talk about them a lot more as we get going here, and you can check out the, awesome championship belt they're providing for us for this league, which last year was won by us. So somebody has to try to dethrone us from the championship, Jeff. I don't know if it can happen this year, but we're going to have as many leagues as possible. Whoever wants to be in a league with us, they're going to be in a league with us this year. You're going to be able to win the belt if you do that. So make sure you guys keep following on there, get information. We'll be releasing more of that as we go. But I think it's time to get into the draft, Jeff. Might as well talk about running backs first, I think. Always the most fantasy relevant, obviously. So we'll just go in order, basically, of players and where they were drafted. So obviously, Saquon Barkley, the top guy. We knew he would be. We knew he'd be the top guy once the season started. Yeah, for the rookie running backs. And he goes to the Giants. Pretty clear shot there. He's going to be the guy there. I think it's a decent fantasy situation for him. He'll have, Jonathan Stewart backing him up now. So what do you think? Barkley? This isn't even, not if he should be drafted, and obviously he's going to be able to top. How high do you think you're going to rank this guy?
Yeah, I do worry about, obviously, the Giants' offensive line and their offense getting going. Saquon Barkley is by far the most talented player coming out in this draft offensively. He is probably going to be hovering right around the end of the top 10 for me for running backs. And that's because of the situation. There's plenty of other running backs this year, and a lot of them have proven themselves. I'm going to go with the safer option. I know a lot of guys are probably going to reach on Saquon just a bit because he is the shiny new toy in the play chest. Wonderful guy, but I think the New York Giants, because of the way they played last year, it does cap my expectation just a tad on him.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be great. The problem is, he's going to be top 10 for me too. But if you expect what Zeke did as a rookie, it's not the same thing. Zeke had an amazing offensive line.
Yeah. The best offensive line in the NFL.
That's the difference. That's why Zeke was so good as a rookie. It doesn't always quite happen like that. And Barkley's going to be great. I really think he's going to be great. It's just what Zeke did was ridiculous. Barkley, I don't think they're going to run him into the ground like that either. I don't think that's what they're going to quite do. I think he's going to be top 10 at the end of the year, but like you're saying, there's so many guys that already have done it, and you can get them no problem around there. So you might not want to take the risk. And yeah, Barkley's going to be hyped so much. There's no rookie discount on him.
No,
at all.
And, that is not, I don't know why I have to even say this, but, putting him at the end of the top 10 is not a knock against him whatsoever. I mean, I think it's crazy the fact that I think I have to say that because I think so many people will be up in arms, saying that we're underrating Saquon Barkley because of all the hype behind him. Yeah, terrific. But, you keep it within reason. That goes for every rookie because I know it's very, very fun to kind of guess where they're going to end up, especially after we've had a few draft classes that people haven't forgotten that really blew up. This is not that draft class. I think there's a lot of guys that went in good positions and Saquon that's a pretty good one. He doesn't have to compete for the position really. It's his. He's going to play. It's more of, is it going to take him, the team, a year to put the players around him so he can so they can open holes and he can kind of show off the talent that we know he has.
Yeah, I think he's going to be great though. It's just, but it's a big risk yet drafting a rookie. every time. It works out some years, but not always. So just, I don't know. A lot of it depends too on Eli and how good that offense can be. Yeah. If Eli's out there throwing the ball around at Beckham, it's going to open things up, but I think Eli could be done. So.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's a tough one. They're gonna be with Eli, right? There's no way around that. It's more about will Beckham stay healthy? Will Sterling Shepard? Yeah. They do have a lot of weapons, really, and it's more about, like you said, Eli performing in that offensive line, making sure that they, keep everyone where they're supposed to be. Because they do have a lot of people to throw to. They have a great running back in the backfield. They don't have that many reasons to not perform well on offense this year. They were just so bad last year. I know injury and everything about that. You can, point your fingers, but, they were just beyond bad. So, I definitely want to keep an eye on that and see how that progresses over the, over training camp. But until I see, a relatively healthy team step on the field and start getting back to where I know they can be, Saquon Barkley will be at the end of that. And, really, I mean, we could go into the whole thing and start naming off names like we do so many times. And I'm wondering where he would end up. And especially in an auction league, how much money this guy is going to go for.
Could go for a lot.
Yeah.
I'm looking right now to say, I'm trying to slot him in. Let's just say right now, obviously Gurley, Bell, Zeke, David Johnson, the tops. Then it's Kamara, Hunt, Fournette. Then Melvin Gordon at 8, Dalvin Cook at 9. That's kind of where you can slot him, I think. Some people put him ahead of him, some might put him below Cook.
Right, and that'd be right at 10.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where he's going to be. I would put him ahead of Freeman, who is the current 10. And Barkley is actually currently 11th, but that's not even with all the updates. And he will end up probably, I think at the end of the day, he's going to be more like 7 or 8 is where he's actually going to rank.
Yeah, and I think that's where, and it's not that big of a difference really, but for me, I do drop him a few. Like, I know a lot of people aren't going to they'd probably take him over, Melvin Gordon, or they'd probably take him over, one of those got Dalvin Cook because he was hurt last year.
I can see him slotting into 8 and possibly 7 over Fournette and over Fournette in the PPR. I think in a PPR, he'll go over Fournette.
And at least I understand that one. I do get that. And I think he should be bolstered up a few. Would you actually take him over Fournette in a PPR though?
Yeah, I think I would, just because Fournette still kind of slightly worries me with injuries.
So, okay, it's more of the risk factor.
That's just the Fournette. If I knew Fournette was going to play 16 games, I'm picking Fournette all day. Yeah. I just don't think Fournette's going to play 16 games.
No, that's kind of where my head's at too. I was just wondering.
Yeah. All right. How about the second guy off the board, running back? Rashad Penny. Which I liked Rashad Penny almost as a sleeper type candidate, as maybe the 6th running back taken. Now, I didn't think he was going to be the second running back taken. I don't think many people thought that, but the Seahawks take him at the end of the first round. And I think that can't say for sure he's just going to be handed the job, but I mean, first round draft, you draft a running back in the first round and your competition is Chris Carson. I think you're the guy. So Penny last year ran for 2,200 yards, 7.8 yards per carry. The year before, he only ran for 1,000, but that was 7.5 yards per carry. His college career ended with 7.5 yards per carry. So that's pretty impressive. Yeah, impressive. Yes, he did go to San Diego State. It wasn't like he was playing against the greatest competition all the time, but those are pretty impressive numbers. He had 23 touchdowns as well last year. So I don't know, though, what to think about the offensive line for Seattle. They were pretty poor last year. Russell Wilson was running for his life. No running back could really get going. Chris Carson was the best, but was he really even that good? He was okay. So, I don't know. What do you think about Penny?
I mean, it has nothing to do with Penny. I do think that Penny is a relatively good prospect. But I'm kind of surprised that they picked him that early when I feel like they should have filled in a few holes, besides the point, what they should have drafted. I like Penny, but yeah, I probably won't be reaching to get him because I don't believe in that offensive line, like you said. And really, were the running backs last year as bad as they looked? Because, I mean, they were terrible, right? Or was that all the line? I have to say that it was more of that. And I know we just talked about, Saquon Barkley, and I'm worried about that offense. Yeah, I'm still putting him in the top 10. Rashard Penny, I think, is going to be hugely affected by how badly that Seattle blocked last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to the point where, I don't know, he falls a long way for me. I think that he was a good prospect. I think he landed in a good situation for a franchise draft or a future. But I think this next year, he is going to struggle, not because of him, but because of that line.
Well, and a little bit about, I mean, Penny is known as kind of, he's not very good at maybe as a pass blocker, which fantasy-wise, that's not going to affect anything for us, but that could keep him off the field at times. You know what I mean? That could mean third downs. Maybe he doesn't get the chance, you know, and they might need him to come in and block for Russell Wilson, which they probably will. Knowing how that line was, they might take him out of the game. So that he might be a 2-down back for a little bit until he can figure things out, which, I mean, who knows? Maybe he will be much better than that anyway. It's hard to say, but it's always a risk. Yeah. And that offensive line was so bad. None of those backs could get going at all last year. It was bad. There was nothing you could do with the Seattle run game. So it's going to depend on where he ends up being kind of slotted in once we get going and where we see where he is in the ranks. I mean, if it's pretty clear he should be the guy, he's going to be probably in the 20 range for me. Yeah. You know, in somewhere in there. I just don't know where yet.
Right. And I agree with that, but I do think because of where he comes in, right? Because he has no one behind him. He should be the guy. He should be getting a ton of reps. I believe that he'll probably be in the teens. Probably.
You think he'll end up with?
I do, because really, if you look around, once you hit that spot, it gets, a little dicey.
Yep.
So I do think he's going to be there, and I think that is probably why I won't have him on a whole lot of my teams, because he falls in that, like, just that weird kind of place in the draft where I would go and grab a wide receiver or something.
It's kind of, it's all going to depend on what number is he, your third back. Is he your fourth back? Fourth back, yeah, of course. Everything changes by when you're getting them. That's
exactly.
all. It's all about value. It really is. It's all about value. Everything changes our mindset on how much we like a player depending on what spot he is in your team.
Exactly. And as soon as, Pete Carroll comes out and says something about Rashad Penny being a 3-down back and he loves him or something like that, his stock is going to shoot through the roof again. And because he's going to be the primary back, he makes another jump up, and that would be the end of any chance of me seeing Penny. But that's just the way it goes in preseason. Guys kind of rise and fall depending on the hype they get.
All right. How about Sony Michel going to the Patriots?
Okay. Honestly, how much do you love this one though?
I like Sony Michel a lot. The problem is
the Patriots.
It's the Patriots. And yes, he has a pretty clear spot to just kind of, Deion Lewis is gone. Somebody needs to take those carries, but it's the Patriots. We don't know. I mean, he's going to be fighting for time with Burkhead?
Well, I mean, you can name a ton of guys on
James
that roster.
White is not going to take really carries away from him.
I mean, Jeremy Hill
got signed.
Gillislee. I mean, they really do have a ton of backs, and I think that he is, without a doubt, probably him and Burkhead are going to be the 1 and 2, if you will. But everyone gets a shot on that team.
The Patriots to actually take a running back in the first round?
Yeah.
I feel like that means something.
And also, it is eerily similar to Deion Lewis. And after seeing what he could do, and that's why I thought you were going to actually love this pick, because you were so high on Deion Lewis.
It's just, I worry though about the hype again. It's always about the hype.
Yep.
I worry about where he ends up. It's not really seeing that yet in the early ranks. Obviously, this is on Fantasy Pros before they're all updated he's at 36, but I'm not going to care to say at 36. He's going to go higher than that. He is behind, obviously, Barkley. He's then behind Penny. He's behind Geis. He's behind Ronald Jones. So that's not bad. Like, he's actually not being too overhyped within the running backs or the rookies. So that's a good sign. So if you can get him at best, he's going to be ranked as a running back 3, I think. I don't think that's bad.
The reason I didn't like this at all is because I think this just really, really hurts Burkhead. Yeah. It actually might be, you can look at it either one or two ways. Burkhead was still very productive, even with Deion Lewis getting a ton of touches. So you could think, okay, Burkhead is still going to have pretty good production, and this is going to kill all that hype. So you're going to be able to get him at a huge discount, which I hope. But then again, you look at it and you're like, okay, that also means that Burkhead really probably won't make a jump up into another level, which I thought he could without Deion Lewis there. So made me a little bit sad being a Burkhead fan, but Sony Michel is so intriguing as a prospect. I really want to see how they use him. And like you said, how rare is it really for the Patriots to spend a first-round draft pick on a running back?
Yeah, it's extremely.
They just don't care who's holding the ball. Pretty much just don't fumble and you'll get a shot.
So, I mean, I have to think that means something this time around, but you can't say for sure. But
yeah, I would have to think as well.
All right, the next guy is his teammate, Nick Chubb.
Georgia and Georgia going really back-to-back correctly.
He goes to Cleveland, which I don't love this fantasy-wise because it's gonna be a timeshare. Him and Carlos Hyde, at least for this year. There's no way it's not.
Well, how does Duke Johnson?
And Duke Johnson too. It really, I mean, it's.
So that's my question. They pick Nick Chubb with a second-round draft pick and an early one. So obviously they like this guy a lot.
They do.
Does that mean, are they preparing to lose Duke Johnson to free agency, or they only have Carlos Hyde for a year?
Yeah.
Like, there's one of the two of those is going to happen. They're not drafting this guy that high to let a 3 system, begin in Cleveland.
I have no idea. I just know that I have no idea what's going to happen with this. And I'm going to stay away from all of them. Carlos Hyde just dropped completely for me.
Yeah, that wouldn't hurt him.
I don't know. I mean, I'd still draft Nick Chubb in Dynasty. I think for future, I think that's good.
Do you think that Duke Johnson still deserves the amount of respect he gets in PPR, even with this
I think so, because I think his role is going to kind of stay the same. And I think it's more of a Nick Chubb, Carlos Hyde thing. Might be switched around. But also that means Duke Johnson's not going to have any kind of jump up. It's that people, they keep expecting Duke Johnson that maybe they'll use him more as a regular running back. It's just not going to happen, obviously. They don't think of him that way if they draft the Nick Chubb. So I just think it kills the value. Hyde and
definitely
Chubb for next year's fantasy.
So definitely this year.
What are you going to do? You can't trust it. I'm not going to draft it unless one of them gets hurt. And if you can get these guys for nothing and you get them both, maybe. But no, it's Cleveland too to top it off, which they're getting better, but they're not there yet. So, and I mean, in a couple years, sure, when you got Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb out there throwing the ball to Jarvis Landry and Josh Gordon and Corey Coleman, it'd be a really good team. I don't think it's going to be their debt, so I'm going to stay away from this one. Even though I like the player and the pick's fine, it's just too much there to trust fantasy-wise.
If I knew who was really going to get the majority of the carries and how they're going to use the running backs. Yep. So maybe you will know that before you actually get into your draft. But it's very difficult to speculate at the moment because all 3 of those guys, I like them. They're all talented.
Yeah. All right, the next guy. How about Ronald Jones going to Tampa? I think this is, to me.
Oh, he's going to be the starter.
He's the guy. He has to beat out Peyton Barber, which, whatever. You can beat out Peyton Barber.
Yeah, they have no one there. I mean,
Jaquiz Rodgers. He has the job. This is his job.
Yes.
And this is going to be, I think he's going to be in a really good spot here. This could end up being, right now I think he could be my number 2 rookie running back just because of situation. Because I don't see a reason why he's not going to get all of the work. Yeah. And I think they have a pretty decent offense.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I'm wondering what it comes down to is how high can this guy climb? How talented do you actually think Ronald Jones is?
So yeah, it's all going to depend on value for him as well. I'm trying to get in my mind where I'm going to slot these guys in because I think we're going to do ranks for next week. We're going to start doing some early rankings. I don't know where to slot him in yet. I'm looking, he's probably honestly in the early 20s. Because right now I'm looking about J.J. is 20, Alex Collins is 21, then Lamar Miller is 22, Deion Lewis 23, Carlos Hyde 24. Honestly, I think I want Ronald Jones ahead of Lamar Miller at 22.
Yeah,
I don't know with the other running backs. It might switch some of the stuff, but I think I want him over those kind of players. Because right there, think about that. It goes from Alex Collins at 21. That's kind of to me the last of the guys who are going to be the top, getting all the carries. Because I guess Lamar Miller is just out of my mind.
Yeah,
so it goes, Miller, Lewis, Hyde, Tevin Coleman, Duke Johnson, Chris Thompson. I think he's ahead of those guys.
I do too. I think really Alex Collins is the last guy that has a major role wrapped up. I think Lamar Miller is on the cusp of starting to trend down, especially in that offense where they're going to throw heavily. So without a doubt, even though I'm not really sure, I can't really make heads or tails of Ronald Jones. I know he looks really, really good at times, and then sometimes I think he, I don't know where he goes. And we've seen pretty good backs have up and down years on the Bucks as well. So I'm kind of waiting to see, but situation alone, this guy couldn't have fell into a better place to have relevancy right away. And it really doesn't have anyone to compete against at all.
No. So I think that's good situation for him fantasy-wise. I like that one a lot. How about the next guy? Kerryon Johnson going to the Lions. This is an interesting one because, I mean, the Lions obviously signed LeGarrette Blount, who it's not like I think much of LeGarrette Blount, but he's definitely going to be used. Still got Amir Abdullah, who's never, now obviously he's not going to be the workhorse at any point, and if he should still be on the team, but he's going to be around. Theo Riddick could be around. I don't know how much work Johnson really gets in year one. I don't know. It's not enough to make me want to draft him right now.
Yeah, he got drafted too high not to play him,
Yep.
and that running game was so freaking bad last year that I think they will, because I think automatically right out the gate, he is going to be the best all-around back they have. Because they will have, what do you have? Riddick, you have Amir Abdullah, or primary guys that are going to catch the ball. You have an aging, cinder block of a runner.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe he'll just be a goal line guy. Maybe
that could be a problem too, though.
Yeah, it could be, and it could hurt his value. Kerryon Johnson is a guy that I'm going to be watching, and unfortunately, his stock will rise and fall as it always does in the preseason and everything like that. So, you probably you have to take a chance on him if he doesn't show anything right away, or his stock is going to go up and then you're going to have to overpay for him. But I like him, in more of a franchise setting once again. He does have value next year, but it's whether or not it's going to be early enough in the year for it to be worthwhile for whoever drafts him.
Yeah, that's a problem. I think it's worth a shot though if you want to put him on the end of your bench, but that's about it for me. It's not much more than that because we don't know. There's a lot of guys there. If like they release Amir Abdullah, sure, there's a lot more. We can see a clearer picture there. I don't see that happening yet, so we'll have to wait and see. That's the one. Let's just wait and see how things are looking. How about the next guy, Darius Geis, go to the Redskins. He fell quite a bit, so obviously there's some. We've been nothing really has come out to say why he fell so much. It just seems like NFL teams weren't quite excited about his attitude, late to some meetings maybe. There's a lot of random stuff.
And that is why Washington is the perfect place for him to land.
I don't care about I don't care about any of that. He's in a great spot. He could be, a lot of people thought he was possibly the second best back in the draft. I mean, not everyone, it's not consensus, but, number 2 back in the draft was on a lot of people's minds. He's in a good spot because he just has to beat out Samaje Perine. Yeah, basically.
I really
can't he beat out Samaje Perine?
I really think he's going to be the starter as well. I think Geis landed in an unbelievable spot, just like Ronald Jones did. Almost as good as Rashard Penny if he had a little better of a team around him. So I don't know. I mean, you never know with someone like that. I really hate when I hear about people not getting along or doing that, because I always worry about them making an example out of the rookie, especially Perine. I don't think he's a long-term guy, but I also think that he is everything I hear about him, he's very professional. He doesn't really fumble the ball. He's a hard runner. So they might make Darius, actually win it from him.
They still got Rob Kelly, I guess, which I don't think much of, but he's still there.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about him, to be honest. But.
Right. That's about, Geis is the most talented of these guys.
And once again, in the first couple rounds, if you get that guy, you're, more than likely you're going to use him, and he will see the field. It's just what percentage of the carries is he going to get right away?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I really do. Hard to say where I'd slot him in. Maybe as my third running. He might be the third guy though for me. He really might be based on situation. Barkley,
situation?
I don't think those other two are any good.
I honestly think behind Saquon, I think Darius Geis, as of right now, because we haven't heard anything, as long as he doesn't do anything stupid, I think Darius actually has the second best situation.
Yeah, it'd be him. It's him or Jones for me right now. And
and I tend to think that Geis is the better prospect.
I believe it's weird that he went so far down. What is the seventh running back? Is that what he ended up being? Yeah. Yeah, there's some stuff going on that teams didn't just want to deal with, which, hey, Washington doesn't care.
They never do.
I like him as a prospect, though, and I'm not going to worry about that other stuff until it actually, maybe we'll see if it matters. Next guy, Royce Freeman, who this is probably the last one of the list that I see a shot at being fantasy relevant this year. Yeah. Freeman going to the Broncos. all he has to do is beat out Devontae Booker and D'Angelo Henderson. I think he can do that. There's no guarantee, but I think he has a good shot at it. If he's better than them, it's his job, obviously. And he's been a very productive running back in college. I mean, he's been a 4-year starter, 1,300 yards his freshman year. His sophomore year was his best when he had 1,800 yards and 6.5 yards a carry. It's not like his senior year was bad. 1,400 yards, 6 yards a carry, 16 touchdowns. So he does pretty well. He's productive. He's going to have a shot. I mean, Booker hasn't done enough, really, to, he's not guaranteed the job, obviously. So Freeman, I think, could definitely take that over and become the starter there. Obviously, I think Booker will still work his way in, though. And they might want to see what Henderson, if he has anything. So it's not 100% guaranteed, but he should be pretty good.
I actually am pretty high in Royce Freeman. Yeah. He might be my favorite running back as far as value, because I think he will be a little forgotten on Denver. I think people are going to assume Booker is going to be the guy there. And I think he's a little underrated as well. I think Royce Freeman, hopefully he doesn't get a whole lot of hype. I could see him being a late pick that pays off like big dividends, because I really, really like that guy. And I think in a Denver offense with Case Keenum there, and they have a lot of firepower now offensively, throwing the ball in the wide receiver, I think that's going to take a ton of pressure off that run game. I'm pretty high in Royce Freeman right now.
Yeah, I think that's one of the ones that has the most potential, especially for this year, which I think he's going to be. He has more potential in this upcoming season to me than Sony Michel might even, or than Nick Chubb might. Just a clearer shot at the, job. I still worry about, like Michel's playing for the Patriots. So I think Freeman, man, I don't see why he's not right up there with Rashad Penny for me too. He's right there. He's better than, I think he's going to be better than Johnson this year.
Yeah. And you won't have to pay the price you have to pay for Penny, because Penny's already the guy.
Yep.
That's why I'm very, very big on him. And I really do. I'm kind of surprised he was a 3rd round guy. He's not, I shouldn't say underrated, right? But, he was very, very productive, and he showed a lot of good qualities. I really think he landed in a great spot.
And then that's pretty much it for me for the guys that have the clear shot. But some other names, maybe. The Colts drafted 2 running backs, which is interesting because they didn't draft anybody before the 4th round, so Marlon Mack should feel good about that. But then again, what was Marlon Mack only a 4th round draft pick last year? So they drafted a guy in the 4th round this year, Naheem Hines from the NC State. He was solid. I mean, he really only played 1 year as the starter this past year. He had just over 1,100 yards, 5.6 yards a carry. So he's a solid running back. And then they also drafted Jordan Wilkins from Ole Miss. You never know what's going to happen to these 4th and 5th round guys. So Marlon Mack was feeling pretty good after the first 2 days of the draft. No running backs taken for the Colts, and then they go get 2 of them later rounds. It might mean something. Yeah, those 2 guys have more of a shot than most, though, just because of Marlon Mack doesn't have a clear stranglehold on the job.
No. The thing about that, though, I think Naheem Hines,
whatever his name is,
I believe he has some upside as far as athletic ability. He's a pretty fast running back. What I worry about is the fact that you're going to have Luck come back, and you're absolutely going to have a guy that can be back there and pass block. So I think it really is Marlon Mack for the taking. I don't think that they're going to throw a rookie running back in there if they think at all that Luck can get hit. So that is what leads me to believe that it is Marlon Mack's job. I think his draft stock is going to rise. I'm not too worried about these 2 guys, to be honest.
Yeah, some of the other guys that were drafted, Mark Walton went in the 4th round to the Bengals, but he's behind Mixon.
I really wanted to see. I was hoping that was going to be kind of a sleeper, but going to the Bengals, you're just screwed. Yeah. Like, there's no possible way he's going to overtake Mixon.
What's his name? Ito Smith with the Falcons, so he's 3rd.
Yeah,
he's
best. Screwed.
Kalen Ballage going to the Dolphins is kind of interesting because it's just Kenyon Drake to beat out. I mean, Gore's there, but it's whatever. That's interesting. There's. I don't think Drake is guaranteed anything either there. He was good, but it's not like he blew everybody away last year. So Chase Edmonds going to the Cardinals, kind of just going to be, maybe he gets some work alongside David Johnson, but he's not going to do anything else. John Kelly goes to the Rams. Obviously not much there. Boston Scott goes to the Saints. He's down the Trenton Cannon in the 6th round going to the Jets. You never know. That could be something interesting. David Williams to the Broncos. Bo Scarborough went to the Cowboys. So that's the guy, I think that he's your handcuff now to Zeke. It's crazy how far he fell, though.
That one surprised me.
I mean, if you do this a year ago, he was going to be one of the top guys.
Yeah.
So
I think Dallas got a real steal here, but it's unfortunate they will never have to use him.
Yeah. So
I was hoping he was going to go to a different team so you could actually see if he worked out.
Yep. And then the final guy was Justin Jackson, went to the Chargers. So probably don't expect much there. 7th round guy shouldn't do, but you never know. Justin Jackson was good at Northwestern. But how about wide receivers? We'll talk about some wide receivers, which is always harder to figure out how these guys are going to do. Last year, we had 3 guys in the top 10. We thought, for sure they're going to be, one of them is going to be great, and none of them were last year. So we don't know what to expect a wide receiver. First one off the board ended up being DJ Moore. Surprising in a way. Thought Calvin Ridley would be the first off the board. DJ Moore lands in a pretty good spot for him with the Panthers. I think, he has a shot to be the number 1 guy at some point because Funchess is the current number 1, and I don't think anyone's 100% sold on Devin Funchess being a number 1 guy. So either way, Moore's going to have plenty of opportunity right away. I don't trust rookie wide receivers though. I don't even know how do you figure out who's going to be great as a rookie wide receiver? No one would have saw Odell Beckham coming, all these guys like that. But I like DJ Moore. I don't really know what to think. I think he has a good shot though. He has a good opportunity.
Yeah, I think I really in this draft, I really think that DJ Moore, because he's at the Panthers, he is going to be the most impactful rookie out there. And I know a lot of people are going to probably look at some of the guys down the line, Calvin Ridley, going to the Falcons. I like DJ Moore better personally. I think he's really, really athletic, and you never know because once again, Panthers are very, very all over the board how they actually distribute the ball. Funchess had a great year, but we can easily see that Newton keeps running it, and he also keeps passing even more to the running back. Not only Christian McCaffrey, obviously he soaked up 80 catches in his rookie year. There's no doubt that he can even probably go higher. So how many throws he's gonna see his way? I'm not sure, but if I was a gambling man, I would take that bet. And I think as far as rookie producing, I think DJ Moore is a relatively safe bet. I really do like this kid and the position he's in right now in Carolina.
Yeah, I do too. There's just a clear opportunity there. There's no, what's their number 2 currently? Was it Torrey Smith? I think they signed Torrey Smith. Right? He easily can be that guy. And we've definitely seen Cam Newton put up big, numbers running the ball or throwing the ball. So we can definitely see that again. How about Calvin Ridley? The second one off the board gets a team up with Julio, which, you know what? There's no reason why he can't be great. Julio, this is the same kind of situation. Julio came in there when Roddy White was still probably about what Julio is now. About the same age. Roddy White was never quite as good as Julio has turned out to be, but yeah, Ridley could be productive. It's just I think this caps his value a little bit right away. In future, he still could be great, but I don't know how great he can be in year 1 playing alongside Julio. He's going to be good. He's going to show flashes, but he's number 2. He's clear number 2.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do have to say though, with Ridley, I think this is the best spot he could have landed because he won't have to match up. He's not going to get double teamed ever. Not even saying he's going to command that right away. But I could see if he went to the Panthers, he could see a lot more pretty much defensive pressure. Not to mention he's just going to be playing with whatever you want to call it. He's a better passer in the quarterback that he has in Atlanta. So with Matt Ryan. So I think he can learn behind Julio, and I think that he will be very, very productive. I always wonder how high his ceiling is because you heard so much about Ridley in college and how productive he was and how great he was in Alabama. You're going to find out really, really quick if this guy is going to be a wide receiver 2 all his life, or if he really does have that explosive kind of step in order to become that guy there as soon as Julio, starts declining, which probably won't be for another couple of years anyway, but.
Yeah, Ridley, he doesn't really have he's not a terribly big receiver, but that doesn't seem to matter anymore. If you're good, you're good.
Yeah.
It's not the same as it used to be with that. Obviously, Beckham's shown that. Antonio Brown's shown that.
I just always wonder because Beckham and Brown are also pretty freakish when it comes to short distance quickness, speed, and then the route running ability. They always praise Ridley for that, but I've never really, you just don't know until you actually see it against an NFL corner.
But I guess we didn't like players like Odell Beckham. It's not like I thought of Odell Beckham like that in college. I barely knew Odell Beckham in college. I mean, I've heard the guy, but you never know. And Antonio Brown, he played for Central Michigan. We're in Michigan and I don't think ever heard of Antonio Brown back then. So you just never know what's going to happen. All right. About the third guy, Courtland Sutton, going to the Broncos, which
love the pick.
Yeah. I like this because, Thomas and Sanders are both getting up there a little bit more. They haven't been terribly productive the last couple of years, but a lot of that's to do with probably the quarterback situation. But this might, I like Sutton. I kind of like this. He definitely could he could get a lot of action out there. I don't know what this is going to do year one, but what is Sanders now? 30, 31?
I think both of them are. I think they're about the same age.
And I honestly don't think Emmanuel Sanders has really been that amazing lately.
He was hurt much more by the quarterback play than obviously Thomas was.
So, they obviously feel that way too. They're going to get a guy, in the second round here? So.
And he is a big guy that has a lot of raw talent still. So I really like Courtland Sutton. Once again, a lot of these guys, I do have to say this. So I think it was as far as fantasy goes, I think it was a lighter NFL draft offensively. I think this was much more geared towards the defensive side of the ball. But I think there is a lot to like, especially with these certain types of guys that you draft them in franchise, leagues, and it'll pay dividends later. I really do wonder how much he's going to be able to get going right away, because I don't see Emmanuel Sanders completely falling off, and that whole offense just looks reborn, right? Once again, Thomas and Sanders, you got Case Keenum there as a quarterback in order to help that situation. Now you have Sutton, that is going to be their third guy that is another big body red zone target, and you get Royce Freeman, which obviously we're a fan of. So you kind of replenish that running back situation. I really like what they did. It's one of those situations where you wonder if Courtland Sutton went somewhere else where he could be the number 2 right away, how high he would have gone, because his size alone is really intriguing.
Yep. How about we move to the next guy? Dante Pettis went to the San Francisco 49ers. So this one's interesting to me because people kind of think of Pettis as more just like a slot guy he was a dynamic punt returner. This guy could return punts. He had, last year, 4 punt returns for touchdowns last year. 9 in his career at Washington. That's pretty impressive. But do the 49ers go draft a wide receiver in the second round just expecting him to be a punt returner? And just, no.
Especially when they don't have any wide receivers.
Right. So I think he's going to be a little more than just, just the punt returner and just a slot. I think he's going to get a lot of looks. And they have Pierre Garçon, who he's fine, but he's 32 now too. So I think his best days are behind him. Marquise Goodwin was good last year, but he's going to be Pettis isn't going to be playing his spot. They're definitely going to be different positions there. Pettis could get a lot of looks. I really think he could just rack up the catches. Maybe it's going to be more of a Jarvis Landry type numbers situation. Not I'm saying he's going to put Jarvis Landry numbers, but a lot of catches for not a lot of yards. But that could make him a pretty interesting, PPR option. And this guy could break some of those for touchdowns, it looks like. I think this is very interesting. Getting to go with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's not going to just play in that slot though, like people think. He's going to do a lot more than that. He's obviously extremely talented. They're going to try to get him the ball, and I think in as much as they can. So I like this guy. I like this pick.
I do too. And I think there's certain positions, and we pretty much are about to, this guy and obviously the next one, you have 4 that just have a clear path to playing time right away, and Pettis is one of them. And once again, like you said, they got him in the second round, not to mention you're rebuilding this team. So you're not taking that lightly. You're not just throwing it out there. I have to believe that they really think this guy can be a significant part of their offense. Obviously giving more weapons to Garoppolo. So I really don't know the type of player he's going to be in the NFL. I mean, I guess
it's hard to say what they're going to actually want, what they want to do with him.
Right. But I agree with you, and I really do think that you're going to be able to get this guy at a low price, and that's what I like about him as well.
It was kind of interesting looking back at his stats here. His junior year, his most catches ever was last year, 63 catches for 761. So he never put up huge numbers as a receiver, but in his junior year, he had 53 catches for 820 yards, 15 touchdowns off those 53 catches. So this is going to be an interesting one. I'm really curious how they use him and what their plan is there. Next guy, Christian Kirk. This is another one. A perfect spot.
Yep. He's going to get to play right away.
He might kill my Chad Williams deep sleeper thing. This might kill that, but
I mean, you think he can step in and be wide receiver too immediately.
I think he's going to be. And why not? I think he was expected to go a little higher in the wide receivers than this. ESPN, they had him as the third best, and he ended up going as the sixth or the fifth receiver. So not bad. I just don't think people didn't expect Pettis to go ahead of him at least. But he's only 5'10", which is sometimes it's not as much of a deterrent as it used to be, obviously. But it's just the perfect spot for him because he's going to be the number 2. I mean, and for the future, it's definitely a perfect spot because, I mean, how much longer can Larry Fitzgerald really play?
Yeah.
So.
And to actually get to play behind him and learn from him. You wonder how much production you actually can get out of this guy, but in a franchise, maybe he's definitely not the boom or bust, but I think he is as safe as they come almost as far as the rookie draft goes.
Yep.
If you're not going to be able to get Saquon, say, or DJ Moore. But Christian Kirk, I think, is going to be a productive guy, right out the gate. Yep. I don't know how many touchdowns that means, because like you said, he's not a big guy, but, he's one of those guys. I think he's going to have a lot of catches throughout the year.
He's another one though. He's similar to Pettis and good returner. They think of him more maybe as a slot guy, but he returned 1 punt for a touchdown last year, 1 kick for a touchdown. He had 6 punt returns in his career for touchdowns. So, he's definitely another dynamic player who can make stuff happen. So I'm really interested in how that one's going to end up going. Especially that's a decent offense. If Sam Bradford played as the starter this year, you got David Johnson and Fitzgerald. And now Kirk, that's pretty solid. And I'm watching the end of this Cleveland-Toronto game right now, actually. So if I'm not paying attention, it's 102-101. Toronto's up with 1:52 left. Oh, I'm a LeBron fan now. I don't know where that happened.
Oh, God.
It is happening. All right, next guy. Anthony Miller goes to the Bears. So the Bears draft a wide receiver in the second round after they just signed, Allen Robinson. They signed Taylor Gabriel. Basically, to me, this kind of means they really don't expect much from Kevin White. They let Cameron Meredith go. To me, that was an original sign. Okay, maybe they think Kevin White is going to be doing something, but maybe not. I can't believe they wasted. I don't know. I don't like this.
I don't either.
I'm not saying anything about Anthony Miller. I just don't know. Did they need a wide receiver here? I guess they really just don't expect much from. They could have just kept Cameron Meredith.
And that's my question: is what do I not know about Cameron Meredith?
Right. That's what it might say more about what they think about what Cameron Meredith is.
Because you didn't have to pay that much more for him. You could have kept him, and you could have gotten a wide receiver later. I don't know. Either that, or they think that highly of Anthony Miller.
And he was very productive at Memphis last year. 96 catches, 1,400 yards, 18 touchdowns. The year before, 95 catches, 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns. So yeah, he's extremely productive player. So that's kind of, I guess, what they're seeing. It's interesting to see how that translates based on, playing at Memphis. Not quite the same as one of the big conferences, but hey, it doesn't necessarily mean much.
It is an interesting one. I don't want to get too crazy because I know Trubisky is there and I'm really not sure how he's going to play. I'm not going to put a whole lot of stock into that. But Anthony Miller, he beats out Kevin White, or Kevin White doesn't want to play and he's the number 2 immediately. Yeah. Taylor Gabriel in the slot. So, I mean, he will get playing time in that situation.
I think he's a good player. It's an interesting one to me. I guess this probably just means more. It means more for Kevin White, I guess, too. It means Kevin White.
He's on notice.
Yeah. It's kind of.
If it wasn't already.
Yeah. That's kind of what, that must be more what this means. But Miller could be This might end up great. Miller might be the number 2 to Allen Robinson, and we'll forget the name Kevin White ever existed. And Castello Gabriel's no more than a third receiver probably anyway. So, how about the next guy? It's another still in the second round. James Washington goes to the Steelers. They traded away Martavis Bryant over to the Raiders, and they go and draft a wide receiver to replace him. So,
I actually love this guy.
Yeah.
I think it's such a smart move by that organization. Cut ties with a guy that, obviously he needs a fresh start anyway. He was super athletic. Don't get me wrong. Martavis Bryant was a freak athlete.
It wasn't working there.
Yeah. And they go out and they were able to get James Washington, which I think he does have some things obviously you have to work on, but he's going to be a third wide receiver. So he doesn't necessarily have to be pitch perfect. And the 2 guys above him are Antonio Brown is obviously possibly the best wide receiver in the league. And then you have the up and coming Juju Smith-Schuster. So I think James Washington is the perfect guy. It's weird watching him play though. He doesn't even look like a wide receiver out there. He's just kind of a weird hybrid of a player. But I think in Pittsburgh, I just think that's such a good fit. And, you never know. I mean, in a couple of years when Antonio Brown starts slowing down, I think this guy could be really, really productive. But once again, I think he's more of a franchise guy than, next year, even though I think he'll have games where he does really well.
Yeah. You look at when you see 5'11", 213, you don't necessarily think wide receiver very much when you see those, it doesn't quite, necessarily, that's not what you think all the time. Hey, he'll be the number 3 there, but Juju's gonna definitely jump up draft boards, I feel like now, with Martavis gone for sure. And Washington's gonna be just not thought of probably.
No, he really won't.
Alright, what do we got next here? Jacksonville drafts a second round receiver. Was it DJ Chark? I don't even know how to say his name.
Yeah, and
okay. What?
Exactly. I have nothing against the wide receiver himself because there's a lot of good stuff about him. He's very fast. He's tall. He's probably a little more raw.
Yeah.
But what are they doing in second round? I feel like they have way too many wide receivers. Do you hate all those guys or what's going on?
Oh God, I'm staying away from all of them.
I know. I'm wondering what the organization is doing.
Maybe he could step up here and be the top guy. It's possible, but they re-signed Lee. They signed Moncrief
for a year.
They got D.D. Westbrook. They got Keelan Cole, who was productive. I mean, I don't know what they're doing.
Didn't they pick up one more guy?
Yeah, they probably did. I can't. I think they did, and I can't remember.
I feel like there's so many guys. So yeah, I don't know if he's really going to have any. And once again, it's Bortles and it's a run first offense. So I don't think that this guy is going to have fantasy value, but his measurables are really intriguing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to think. He could work his way into the lineup. Maybe he will be a sleeper. I wish I could tell you. I'm not sure exactly how this one's going to shake out.
Yeah, and he might be more, as of right now, it might just end up being more of like a big play guy. That might be with a 4.34 speed. That's pretty impressive. 4.34.
Yeah, and at 6'3" too.
Yeah,
6'3", almost 200 pounds. I guess he could be used to, red zone and take the top off the defense, but.
The Cowboys drafted Michael Gallup, which people expect the Cowboys to go wide receiver earlier than they did, getting rid of Dez Bryant. So, hey, he could have some potential here to move up. And but it's it could be a reach. I don't know. He was ranked as maybe the 14th best wide receiver in some things. It's interesting.
Yeah, I honestly think
he has potential.
Yeah, I thought that they thought one of the other guys were going to fall to him.
Yeah.
So I like a Cortland Sutton, which it's a lot like Gallup kind of in a way. Gallup is kind of the shorter, less refined version of that. But I don't know too much about him, but people are pretty much saying that this guy could become something. He's a talent that they have to kind of bring along.
Yep.
My question is, okay, if he's not refined already, who the heck are they throwing to?
Terrence Williams and Allen Hurts.
Oh my God. I mean,
right?
What does that do for, at some point, does the passing offense actually, hurt Ezekiel Elliott a little bit? It definitely hurts my perception of Prescott.
Yeah.
Because it definitely has to put a ceiling on how productive he can be.
I feel like it does. I thought they'd go higher than this. I mean, Gallup might be a lot better than we expect. I don't think anything bad about the guy.
He had
100 catches last year. Very productive. But he played for Colorado State. You can't translate that. It's hard to say what he will actually end up being. He started his career at a community college for 2 years, and then he had 2 productive years at Colorado State. But
I mean, on top of that,
he has a chance though.
And Jason Witten just retired.
Yeah.
So I mean, my God, man, if you gotta start scratching your head and wondering how they're gonna make sure that they don't become completely a one-dimensional team.
Yep. All right, how about the next player? We'll talk about a few more here. Traquan Smith from UCF going to the Saints, who they have Michael Thomas. They just signed Cameron Meredith. Who else do they have? Ted Ginn? Is he still there? I feel like I'm missing somebody. Oh, they got rid of Willie Snead. Let him go.
Yeah, I feel like there's one more there. Anyway, I mean, yeah, do you see any way that this guy is going to be fantasy relevant?
I doubt it. At least not right now. I mean, they got Thomas is going to take up most of the catches. And then it looks like Cameron Meredith is probably the number 2. They went out and got him for a reason. They liked him. Ted Ginn, it's just Ted Ginn.
Oh, Brandon Coleman. That's who I was
Brandon
trying to think
Coleman's
of.
a nothing.
Yeah, I think he's a 4th though.
So, I mean, yeah, he can step in and be more of a, let's see here. He could be like the third guy at best, because Ted Ginn, I don't even know what I consider Ted Ginn. Maybe a 4th, probably what he's going to be year 1.
And we all know that. So Michael Thomas is going to be the number 1 passing option, and then it's going to be Alvin Kamara. And then it'll be, so he's definitely down the line. So yeah. I'm not going to give him too much thought.
He's a fast guy, but could be more of a slot guy, they think. It's just, he's more of he needs to develop. He's not going to be there yet. So not going to be somebody we worry about in his first year, kind of thing. All right. Who do we get next? Texans draft Kiki Cutie or something like that. I've been watching some highlights of him, and I think that's how they're pronouncing his name. I always love when we can't pronounce players' names. You got any thoughts on him? 5'10", 181, going to, he has to beat out a few guys at the Texans, but.
He does. I think I do like the team. I think he fits well in here. I think he might have been completely forgotten, but because of Deshaun Watson and all of the speed and excitement that they have in the passing game, I think he could be useful on that team. Once again, I don't think he's going to be useful early on in the year, so I don't think he's draft worthy. But he's an interesting guy to watch, because you don't know if Braxton Miller is actually going to become anything. Jalen Strong is gone out of there, whoever the heck they had after that. So there's definitely an opportunity for a guy to emerge, obviously behind Will Fuller and Hopkins. So, this guy is interesting.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much all the players at this point are more interesting, which this next guy, the Cleveland drafted, is definitely interesting. Antonio Callaway, who is probably more talented than where he went, but he sees some interesting off the field issues maybe he tested positive for marijuana at the combine, which I don't care if he's smoking marijuana.
No.
The problem is the combine didn't sneak up on you.
Yeah.
You kind of knew when it was going to be.
You just didn't care.
See, it's more of like, and that's what kind of this kind of stuff, when this happens, people are like, well, who cares? You know what? It kind of shows to me that.
Well, I feel like the Browns should.
The maturity issues, this is happening.
I was kind of surprised, and I like the pick, actually, because I do think you got a huge steal with Antonio Callaway down this far. But at the same time, I'm kind of surprised the Browns did that just because they had to deal with this with Josh Gordon for so long. Obviously, they think that they can handle it, or they talk to him, and it's not going to be an issue. But they already have a ton of weapons.
That's not the only thing. He was suspended most of last year for allegedly using a stolen credit card. In May 2017, he got a misdemeanor for marijuana possession. In 2016, he was cleared, though, of sexual assault allegations, but it's never good. It's just a lot of things.
Oh, my God.
Right? It's just a lot of stuff. The he could be he's an extremely talented, athletic player. In 1 second, it's 0.6 seconds left. Tie game. Cleveland, Toronto, LeBron for the win. And he missed it. And they're going to overtime. I just had to see what was going on there. That would have been amazing if he did that again. But yeah, back to Antonio Callaway.
Do you think on the Browns, because they have so many weapons now, do you think that he's going to be relevant this year?
No, I don't. And, I don't know. These kind of players are always interesting. He's could be so much higher if it wasn't for these issues. So hopefully he's turned himself around. after the combine already. I mean, it says, okay, they said that the positive test of the combine was for a diluted sample, which is treated the same as a positive test, which could have its reasons why. So.
Yeah, he smoked weed.
But, yep, that's interesting. All right.
Is there anyone else on this list that you want to point out? I don't want to go, obviously we're not going to go down any farther, but is there anyone else that stands out and you're like, this guy has an outside chance?
Maybe again, one of the Colts receivers, because the Colts really after T.Y. Hilton, it's not, as clear cut. They got Fountain from Northern Iowa and Deion Kane from Clemson. People like Deion Kane quite a bit from Clemson. He actually was ranked, I think, much higher than this. Deion Kane, he could be an interesting one. That's what I'm going to keep my eye on. Nobody that I really think is going to jump out and be fantasy relevant year one, just because how do you know? How about maybe Green Bay? Green Bay is always interesting. You never.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at those guys too. I don't.
St. Brown from Notre Dame. He was. I'm not even gonna. I've never attempted to say this guy's name. Never. But he was much higher ranked prospect, coming out of high school. I remember him coming out of high school. He is interesting, I think, for the future here. He could definitely, he's 6'5", 214, which is always, that's pretty good wide receiver size. So I like him, but he did fall to the 6th. But that's pretty much it. I mean, there's other guys that obviously that people can step up and based on situation, we just never quite know. Jamon Moore, he went to Green Bay earlier in the 4th, so he could be another one. But the funny thing is, you look at the pre-draft ranks ESPN had, Moore was ranked as the 25th wide receiver. He went in the 4th. St. Brown was ranked as the 19th, and he went in the 6th. So, who knows? They went a couple rounds apart, but it doesn't mean anything. But somebody probably from here will end up being decently relevant. But who that is, I have no idea. Maybe it's Cedric Wilson from Boise State going to the Cowboys, because obviously we said Cowboys have nothing going on, like at all. But how about, okay, just not because it could be face relevant, but how about the Patriots drafting Braxton Berrios from Miami in the 6th round? Guess what? He's 5'9", 184, and he's white. Is that perfect for the Patriots?
They do have a type.
I guess so. So, hey, that might be in a couple years.
You gotta love that, though. I mean, they do find a way to fill out their roster with these guys down the way that they never really have to overpay.
Yep.
He could be the next Edelman, next Amendola, pick one.
Yeah, and then a lot of these other guys, it's just going to be, hey, we'll wait and see what happens in the, Green Bay drafted another receiver I didn't even see.
Yeah, they have a lot.
Oh my God. One of them could emerge. Yeah. They obviously know they have a need there.
Yeah. No idea which one will emerge, but I kind of like the idea of, we don't have any other needs, let's just we're going to hit up 3 prospects we really like. One of them will succeed, great.
And then, I'm not going to really talk about tight ends too much, but like I say, let's throw a couple names out there. One guy went in the 1st round was Hayden Hurst, went to the Ravens. They could definitely use him. I don't expect much from a tight end in the round 1 ever. No. That's why I'm not going to worry about these guys too much.
I think there's only 3. I think the first 3 drafted have an opportunity to actually make an immediate impact. I think Hayden Hurst is in the worst situation because I don't like the Ravens offense at all. And I also think he's probably the most well-developed all-around player. Blocking wise, I think the next 2 guys, Gesicki and then Dallas Goedert, both are great receiving tight ends, and I think that they could be intriguing. Especially, I know kind of it has to come with an injury, but Dallas Goedert is in Philly, and we all know how much they love to throw to their tight ends, and I absolutely loved this guy's tape. He's a whole lot of fun to watch. Do you see, do you like Goddard at all? I know he's going to be playing second fiddle in Philly, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has some potential there. Can't draft a rookie. I mean, obviously we're not drafting these guys. We're just keeping an eye on them. If Ertz were to go down.
Oh, he would be a huge value. But what about Gesicki too? 6'6", coming out of Penn State.
That's interesting because
a wide receiver.
He has a chance there. Because I mean,
he's gonna be the starter right away.
He will be. That's the one.
Same thing with Hayden Hurst.
Those 2. That's why I think they have the most potential. I just don't.
I
Rookie
hate
tight
the
ends, I
Ravens.
just can't. They just don't.
No, I don't
It just
either.
doesn't happen. And that's the same thing with the quarterbacks here. We don't need to talk about quarterbacks very much because everyone's talking about the quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield, I like Baker Mayfield a lot, but Tyrod Taylor is going to probably be starting to start the year. It's just, in a dynasty, sure, draft any one of these guys. I don't know who the best one's going to be. No one does.
No. If you
none of us do.
had to pick if you come to a dynasty draft, you have to pick one of these guys. You can pick anyone. Who are you picking for your franchise league draft? Right? I'm just going to put it out there. I don't know if you would pick him, but I think Josh Allen will be a bust. I don't like him. I don't like him going to Buffalo. I think that's a rough spot to go.
Lamar Jackson, his running ability is going to make him fantasy relevant in the future.
Yeah.
Once Flacco's gone.
You'll have to, he might only have to wait 1 year too.
Yeah.
I really think Lamar Jackson fell in a great spot for him. I know anyone's probably pissed that they fell to the end of the first round when you're the Heisman and that athletic. But
Sam Darnold could definitely become the starter there easily. He can beat out McCown if they think he's ready, which I don't think they think he's ready right now. I think they want McCown to start 1 year.
I feel like Darnold's, yeah, I do too. But I think Darnold's probably, and that's saying something because I don't really like any of these quarterbacks all that much. I think Darnold would do the best right out the gate.
Yeah. Josh Rosen, if he was able to get the job, which is, again, they're not expecting him to, Sam Bradford should be the starter. Rosen, he'd have a pretty good team around him, I feel like, with David Johnson, with Larry Fitzgerald. That could be interesting. And then, yeah. Hey, and if Ben Roethlisberger were to go down, Mason Rudolph.
I actually really, first of all, I think just to preface it, I didn't want any of these teams to really draft a quarterback, especially the Browns. I think that was probably a mistake. I like Baker Mayfield, but I think you could have had Bradley Chubb and then also, Ward. And I think that's unbelievable. And then figure it out later. But they did draft him. So you start looking farther down, and Lamar Jackson, Mason Rudolph get drafted very close to one another. Well, at the end of, Mason Rudolph in the third, which I think is a huge, I don't know why he fell for so long compared to the other guys.
I think it just got to that point where teams didn't need one anymore. The needy teams got him early.
Yeah, so I really like the fact that Pittsburgh could get a guy, and now there's no pressure whatsoever. Even if he doesn't work out, it's no big deal. If one of those top 5 do not work out, it's big.
Yep. Yeah, and after that, there's guys with some potential, but we'll have to wait and see.
The only other one that I actually want to ask you about is New York. We know that Eli struggled. Do you think that this kid has any chance? Do you think this is a wait and see kind of thing, or do you think they're grasping at straws?
I think it's more probably a wait and see. I mean, they just drafted Davis Webb last year. They must. I don't know if they gave up on him already.
You think that maybe they're just kind of loading up, figuring it out?
They're just going to draft somebody here. He was the 7th best prospect, and they drafted him as the 7th best quarterback. So
he looks pretty prototypical. I really don't know this guy too much. He came from Richmond.
It's hard to say from guys from Richmond, that kind of thing. And then, it's hard to say. Once you don't know. I mean, obviously, these NFL teams don't know either because if one of these guys turned out to be great, they would have drafted him before the 4th. Yeah, it does work out some years. It happens. Definitely happens. It's just obviously no one, not even the NFL scouts who do this every day, know. For sure.
Yeah, and what it comes down to is really it'll be interesting to see if any of these guys get in play. I think Baker Mayfield comes in and unbelievably, he's going to actually have a pretty good team around him whenever they decide he's going to take over. And I really wish I could see a little bit of Lamar Jackson this year, just because I want to see if his athleticism actually does, translate into the NFL. Because I know that's why he fell. They don't think that he can throw. But I just like the fact that the Ravens are going this way.
Yep. I do too. I think fantasy wise, he's going to be, oh man, I don't want to say this, but no, I can't say it. I was going to say kind of interesting if Flacco got hurt. I don't want to wish it.
Oh no, I don't wish it upon him,
I don't want to wish injury upon anybody.
No, maybe he wants to hold out or something.
Yeah.
We'll say that.
Yeah.
Maybe he misses the team bus. He doesn't make it to the game.
It'd be interesting to see what happens, but all right. I think that's it. Nice long draft review. Yeah. And I'm sure we've missed somebody or mispronounced a name here or there, but oh well, it'll be all right. We'll definitely know more about these guys when training camps hit, when we see some preseason action, when we actually see what's going on with these players and how they're being used, to be able to figure out maybe where we should draft them. But I think that'll do it. I think next week we're going to start some rankings, get a little early rankings. Probably not full rankings. We don't need to go 1 through 50, maybe like our top 20 running backs or something next week.
Oh yeah, let's start off slow.
Maybe 20, 25. I don't know. I don't want to go too crazy right now. It's hard to. We'll keep it interesting, but we'll start with some ranks. We'll get to hear some great feedback on that, I'm sure. Rankings are always the most controversial thing we put out there. It's always people just either they think you're everything's spot on or not, and I don't even know where I'm going to be on these ranks yet. It's hard to say. I really have no idea if to break that down coming up here, and we'll talk to you guys next week.